Most candidates repeat the same boring sentences when the topic is parks and nature. But today, I'm going to give you 30 collocations that will make you sound like a native speaker instantly. And trust me, some of these are crazy useful. Let's kick things off with a question that almost every IELTS candidate struggles with. Question: are natural views better than city views? The first collocation for this question is picturesque scenery. Picturesque scenery. Picturesque scenery, which means very beautiful, like a picture. For example, the countryside in northern Italy offers the most picturesque scenery I've ever seen. Or, tourists come here mainly to enjoy the picturesque scenery and escape the city noise. The next collocation is panoramic view. Panoramic view. Panoramic view. It means a wide, all-around view you can see from for a long distance. For example, the rooftop cafe provides a panoramic view of the entire city. Or, from the mountain peak, you get a panoramic view that stretches for miles. The next collocation is concrete jungle. Concrete. Concrete jungle. A city full of buildings and very little green space. For example, after living in a concrete jungle for years, I really needed a break in nature. Or, some people find big cities exciting, while others see them as depressing concrete jungles. The next collocation is bustling streets. Bustling, bustling streets. Busy, busy, lively streets full of people and activity. For example, the bustling streets of Tokyo are full of energy day and night. Or, I love exploring I love exploring the bustling streets and trying different street foods when I travel. The next collocation is tranquil surroundings. Tranquil surroundings. Tranquil surroundings. Calm and quiet places. For example, the hotel is located in tranquil surroundings, perfect for a relaxing holiday. Or, I prefer studying in tranquil surroundings rather than noisy cafes. The last collocation for this question is blend of nature and modernity or modernity. Blend of nature and modernity, or you can say modernity as well. A mix of natural areas and modern buildings. For example, Singapore offers a unique blend of nature and modernity with its green buildings and parks. Or, I love cities that have a good blend of nature and modernity where you can enjoy both parks and skyscrapers. Now, if you thought these were good, wait until the next questions. The collocations get even better. Now, here's a tricky one. Question: do all people need some nature? So, collocation number 7 is escape the hustle and bustle. Hustle and bustle. Escape the hustle and bustle. Get away from busy, noisy life. For example, many city dwellers go camping to escape the hustle and bustle of urban life. Or, I often visit my grandparents' village to escape the hustle and bustle and breathe some fresh air. The next collocation is seek solitude. Seek solitude. Solitude. Seek solitude. Look for quiet time alone. For example, some people seek solitude in nature to recharge their energy. Or, I usually go for a walk by the river when I want to seek solitude and think clearly. The next collocation is escape sensory overload. Escape sensory overload. Escape sensory overload. Get a break from too much noise, sights, and information. For example, many people go hiking or camping simply to escape sensory overload. Or, after spending hours surrounded by screens and traffic noise, I often visit a quiet park to escape sensory overload and clear my head. Next collocation is nourish the soul. Nourish the soul. Nourish the soul. Make yourself feel happy, calm, or emotionally refreshed. For example, a simple walk in the forest can truly nourish the soul. Or watching the sunrise over the mountains is the kind of moment that nourishes the soul and reminds you what really matters in life. The next collocation is experience biophilic connection. Experience biophilic connection. Biophilic connection, which means feeling close to and connected to nature and living things. For example, humans are biologically wired to experience biophilic connection with the natural world, or people who keep people who keep household plants or spend time gardening often do so to experience a biophilic connection that modern life tends to suppress. The next collocation is counteract urban claustrophobia. Counteract urban claustrophobia. Claustrophobia. Reduce the feeling of being trapped in a crowded city. For example, green spaces play a vital role in counteracting urban claustrophobia and providing mental relief. For many city dwellers, walking among trees is the only way to counteract the urban claustrophobia of high-rise living. Trust me, the next section will not only make you sound fluent, it will make you sound super smart. Are people hardwired to protect the environment? The first collocation for this question is environmental consciousness. Environmental consciousness. Environmental consciousness. Awareness of nature and the importance of protecting it. For example, in recent years, there has been a noticeable rise in environmental consciousness among young people. Or, schools should promote environmental consciousness by teaching students about recycling and sustainability. The next collocation is preserve biodiversity. Preserve biodiversity. Biodiversity is the British pronunciation and biodiversity is the American pronunciation. Protect different types of plants and animals. For example, national parks play a vital role in preserving biodiversity and protecting wildlife habitats. Or we must preserve biodiversity to maintain the balance of ecosystems for future generations. The next collocation is reduce carbon footprint. Reduce carbon footprint. Carbon footprint. Lower the harmful effect you have on the environment. For example, using public transport is one of the easiest ways to reduce your carbon footprint. Or, many companies are adopting green policies to reduce their carbon footprint. The next collocation is sustainable development. Sustainable development. Sustainable development. Grow and develop without harming the environment. For example, sustainable development is essential if you want to meet today's needs without harming future generations. Or the government's new policy focuses on sustainable development through renewable energy. The next collocation is conservation efforts. Conservation efforts. Conservation efforts. Actions to protect the environment. For example, local conservation efforts have helped restore several polluted rivers. Or, thanks to global conservation efforts, the population of certain endangered animals has increased. The next collocation is instill a sense of responsibility. Instill a sense of responsibility. Instill a sense of responsibility, which means teaching people to feel responsible for something. For example, teachers should instill a sense of responsibility in children toward protecting the planet. Or, family education can instill a sense of responsibility for conserving natural resources. Next, we're talking about why people can't live without trees. Examiners are going to love these collocations. Question: Why do people like visiting places with trees or forests? The first collocation is take a stroll. Take a stroll. Stroll. Walking slowly and enjoying your surroundings. For example, I love taking a stroll in the park after dinner. It really helps me unwind. Or, on weekends, my family and I usually take a stroll along the riverside. The next collocation is physical rejuvenation. Physical rejuvenation. Rejuvenation. Physical rejuvenation. Feel fresh and full of energy again. For example, spending time in nature brings physical rejuvenation after a long, tiring week. Or, a quick swim or morning jog often gives me a sense of physical rejuvenation. The next collocation is get away from it all. Get away from it all. Get away from it all. Take a break from stress and daily problems. For example, visiting green places helps me get away from it all and just relax for a while. Or sometimes you need to get away from it all to recharge and gain a fresh perspective. The next collocation is escape digital overload. Escape digital overload. Escape digital overload. Take a break from phones, screens, and online life. For example, many people visit forests or go camping to escape digital overload and enjoy some real peace. Or, spending time away from phones and laptops helps us escape digital overload and reconnect with ourselves. The next collocation is soothe the mind and soul. Soothe the mind and soul. Soothe the mind and soul. Calm your thoughts and emotions. Feel peaceful inside. For example, listening to birds and feeling the breeze in a forest really soothes the mind and soul. Or, a quiet walk in nature can soothe the mind and soul after a stressful day at work. The next collocation is be in tune with nature. Be in tune with nature. Be in tune with nature. Feel connected and in harmony with the natural world. For example, people who spend time gardening or hiking often feel more in tune with nature. Or when you're in a forest, away from noise and pollution, you feel completely in tune with nature. You thought that was enough? Wait until we see how parks save entire cities. The next collocations are just amazing. Questions? Why is it important to have parks in the city? What benefits can a park bring to a city? The first collocation for green lungs of the city. Green lungs of the city. Green lungs of the city. Green spaces that clean the air in the city. For example, parks are often called the green lungs of the city because they help clean the air. Or, without these green lungs, urban areas would be unbearably polluted. The next collocation is urban oasis. Urban oasis. Urban oasis. Oasis. A peaceful green place in a busy city. For example, the park in the city center feels like an urban oasis amidst all the chaos. Or, people love going to that garden because it's a real urban oasis where they can relax. The next collocation is provide shade and shelter. Provide shade and shelter. Provide shade and shelter. Trees or green areas that protect you from sun or rain. For example, large trees provide shade and shelter for people walking on hot days. Or, in summer, people often sit under trees to enjoy the shade and shelter they offer. The next collocation is create a buffer against urban chaos. Create a buffer against urban chaos. make a calm area that protects people from noise and stress. For example, parks and green belts can create a buffer against urban chaos, giving residents a quiet retreat from traffic and crowds. Or, planting trees along busy streets helps create a buffer against urban chaos by reducing noise and improving air quality. The next collocation is restore psychological equilibrium. Restore psychological equilibrium. Equilibrium. Helps to help people feel mentally balanced and calm after stress. For example, spending a few hours in a tranquil garden can restore psychological equilibrium after a hectic workday. Or meditation and yoga classes in public parks help participants restore psychological equilibrium in a stressful urban environment. Finally, the last collocation is provide ecological balance. Provide ecological balance. Keep nature healthy by supporting animals, plants, and the environment. For example, wetlands. Wetlands within urban areas provides ecological balance by filtering water and supporting wildlife. Or, planting native trees in the city helps provide ecological balance and counteract the effects of urbanization. If you found this video useful, make sure you subscribe because I'm going to upload more awesome videos covering all 4 IELTS skills. Don't miss out. Also, make sure you check out my previous videos where I teach a brand new strategy that can completely change how you think about task 1, like an examiner. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.